adoption, we have never had any year of losses. We have made profit from year one of operations.
So finance does not just unlock the potential of increasing the harvests, but it also works a lot in restoring, for example, soil health biodiversity.
Farmer can actually bypass traditional and often prohibitive banking barriers.
Which means that if you give people the right tools and the right knowledge, people will make the right choices.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever everyone is. Lovely to have such an exceptional panel. So we've heard a lot about AI, fintech, and digital transformation. But for today, we're here to see how this technology is improving the life of the farmer. Allow me to start with Emmanuel. Emmanuel, just confirming that you're there.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So, Emmanuel, you've been both an agricultural banker and now an agri-tech entrepreneur. Why should the average farmer care about digital platforms, and what real difference can they make to their daily lives?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think that's the right question, and I assumed the right person, because I've grown up from a farming background, and I've realized how farmers do not mind about the world outside them. So eventually, they remain smallholder, most of them. They farm hand to mouth, they sell for very unfair prices, and eventually they keep on surviving on a daily wage, if I would put it that way. And yet they are feeding the whole world. So these digital platforms not only just extend a service, but they also bring them closer to a community that otherwise had created what I would call an unnecessary gap between the actual consumers of the food produced by these farmers and the farmers themselves that produce this kind of food. So in a nutshell, you realize that the vast opportunities that would actually be coming to the farmer die a natural death, because there hasn't been that kind of connection that allows the two parties to be joined together.
Okay. That's an amazing submission. So yeah, digital platforms create opportunity, but opportunity only matters if businesses can survive long enough to actually deliver it. Allow me to go to Mr. Anand. Aria.ag, I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's become one of India's biggest digital grain marketplaces. What do you think you've done differently that has enabled your business to succeed where so many agri-tech startups have struggled?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for asking this question. First of all, thanks to the Food Security Summit organizers for having me on board. It's a pleasure to be here. Mark, I think what we did right was we stuck to the roots. What we realized is for any business model, as you were discussing, for it to be sustainable and on a long-term basis, the business should make money. Money not only for the organization, but for the consumers also. So it should add value to them. See, as long as any product or service is adding value to a farmer or a depositor, that's when the business will sustain. What is happening is in the agri-tech space, everybody is looking tech as a disruptor. We will come, we will disrupt tech, and AI or blockchain could be the next panacea of the world, which we firmly believe are not. To me, tech has a role in terms of tech adaptability will be faster as long as the benefit is there to the farmer. If you burn capital, if you look most of the agri-techs, what they did, in order to capture the market, they burned capital. And then, undercutting for adoption. And the moment you put a price tax and the funding dried up, they all vanished. So At Arya, what we did, we were very clear from day one of operations that we will not burn capital. Any product or service which we will offer, there will be a price tag on it from day one. We will not make losses. So if you look at our 13 years of history since inception, we have never had any year of losses. We have made profit from year one of operations. So I think sticking to the basic is what made the difference, that we will have to price our product from day one.
Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Elena, just confirm that you're there. Okay, Elena? Okay, I think we've lost Elena, but
Yeah,
we'll
Lina
see.
doesn't seem to be there. Yeah.
Okay, Nicolette, many people hear blockchain and immediately assume cryptocurrency, right? Could you explain how blockchain can actually solve real problems for farmers?
Yes, of course. What we've been doing is looking into blockchain already since 2017, not by means of a cryptocurrency, but just by means of a transfer of value in a way where you can actually create level playing field, where you can actually exchange value against commercial prices, like I heard already from the former speaker, where you can combine all the different companies and multinationals that are now providing for inputs and for information only in the north of the planet. And you can also use that for the global south. And for doing that, in order to do that, you need to do it in a way where you actually level the playing field and create opportunities for everyone to be included in the system. That is where blockchain comes in, because it's an added value. It's just a tool, nothing more than that. It's just only to make sure that anyone who wants to be entering into the bigger global scale can do that in a way where it doesn't matter whether you're a big multinational seed company or the smallest smallholder farmer, you can still exchange value other than cryptocurrency, which of course is also an application, but it's not the thing that we mainly looked at.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Nicolette. I saw Elena jumped in and out there, but I'll just move on to access to finance, right? So the issue that keeps coming up is access to finance, At Africa Agriculture Network, some of our most common articles and content that we create is funding articles, people eat that up. So farmers have market, but without affordable finance, they still can't grow. Emma, could I ask, how can digital finance help farmers who have traditionally been excluded from formal banking?
Thank you so much. I think that should actually be the priority number one on empowering farmers to ensure that they achieve their dreams. I'll put my attention on especially African smallholder farmers, particularly women and the youth, who potentially do not have collateral security because most women are traditionally, they say they are not allowed to own land if they are married. Most times, so property belongs to the family. And the youth, they are still young, trying to grow. They do not have land, which is the majorly accepted collateral security. So this is where now digital finance comes in. I'm happy to have led such kind of a revolution at Everland, where I am a founder, that we've devised different means, like using an AI credit scoring system that studies the farmer behavior, looks at their previous yields, predicts also the yields per season, and then we are able to create the right credit for these farmers. So that way, this finance helps to empower these farmers to get the right seeds that are quality seeds, but also be able to access quality fertilizers on time. And at the same time, they are able to afford agronomy services, of which some of these agronomy services are actually available on some digital platforms. So finance does not just unlock the potential of increasing just the harvests, but it also works a lot in restoring, for example, soil health, biodiversity, because with the right seed and the right fertilizer, definitely the soil increases on water retention levels. So finance supports the entire value system of a smallholder farmer.
Okay, thank you for that, Emma. Dr. Zhang, do you think tokenization would become a completely new way of financing smallholder farmers?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today. And I guess there are many different ways of using tokenization. The conversion of physical agriculture assets into digital and blockchain-based units is really providing exciting opportunities on how farmers can access capital. And by moving assets onto the chain, and farmer can actually bypass traditional and often prohibitive banking barriers. And I want to give you three different key areas. The first area is actually in terms of yield tokens. So we're talking about pre-financing harvest. And here, farmers often face cash flow gaps between planting and harvest. So by issuing yield tokens representing a portion of their future harvest, farmers can secure working capital upfront from investors, and rather than relying on high street, loans sometimes might not be very cheap to be affordable. And there is a very powerful case studies in Ghana with Agro Center, where they use digital platforms to integrate smallholders farmer into formal supply chain. And by digitizing the harvest process, they have enabled smallholders to access microloan all the way from $100 to $500. And
Wow.
this has allowed farmers to purchase higher quality input and leading to reported year increase of 30% in participating cooperatives. So basically, it's really effectively turning future production into present day capital, which is amazing. And the second category is actually looking at fractionalized farmland ownership. So we're talking about equity financing because tokenization can allow farmers to sell small fractionalized stake in their land as well as infrastructure so to global pools of investors. And this provide a beautiful debt-free capital injection and allowing farmers to actually upgrade equipment or invest in sustainable practices without the burden of monthly loan repayment. And a very interesting case study is actually from the United States. So there are several different platforms in the US actually has enabled the fractionalization of farmland to democratizing investment and with quite significant results to allow farmers to raise hundreds of thousands of US dollars in liquidity in a matter of weeks, which is significantly faster than the month long process of securing a traditional mortgage or farm loan. And the last point I want to highlight is actually called tokenized warehouse receipt. So it's an asset backed lending. And what farmers can do is basically store harvest crops in certified warehouse and receive warehouse receipt tokens in return. And these tokens can act as a verifiable collateral, proving that the farmer has a stable and also high valued asset, which banks or DeFi protocols can then lend against. And the case studies we are looking here is actually there are lots of growing tokenization in emerging markets. So what they have been doing is basically that verified digital platform can reduce the effective interest rates for farmers by up to 25% compared to informal money lenders. As a risk of assets misrepresentation is virtually eliminated. So I think tokenization have, of course, many more exciting, opportunities for farmer when it comes to lending. But I think the above three are perhaps some of the most significant ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang. Definitely, farmers will not lose their farms to money lenders who have high interest rates. But lending is only half of the one side of the equation. farmers also need to be profitable. So, Mr. Anand, how has Aria.ag helped bridge the trust gap between farmers, buyers, and financial institutions?
So, Mark, I will say add to what Dr. Christina just said. The tokenization is one part which has helped it, but the other part is two basic problems which we have addressed. We have given freedom to farmers with whom we work in the country, almost a million farmers whom we work, freedom on two fronts: when to sell and whom to sell. When I'm talking about option when to sell, I'm basically providing them a access to store commodities. The infrastructure has to come in first before we digitize the grain which is stored. That's the prime importance. And if you look at most of the frauds which have happened across the globe, it was not because of the tech, it has because the underlying stocks were missing. So the physical control of the warehouse, making the warehouse available in the small hinterlands is a challenge. And apart from the income which the farmer would generate, it is also the cost at which the companies can operate smaller warehouses, the unit economics. So what we did is we have arranged space. We have gone to the primary markets. Primary market means closer to the farm gates. We have evolved a model wherein we can work in smaller warehouses and still be profitable by layering our storage along with finance. So we have our own storage company. We have our own NBFC where we lend money to the farmer at a rate
Wow.
much cheaper to what they get from the local money lender. So with the storage in the finance layer, we have been able to address the problem of when to sell. So like what we were discussing in the panel and Emmanuel mentioned, the farmer needs money immediately. Now, I may not have a blockchain, I may not have an AI, but my systems are enabled today like this, that if a farmer walks into my warehouse with his cargo, by the time he reaches back after unloading, he gets the money into his account. That's how fast my turnaround time is. So I may call the system being machine learned or well-oiled machinery, whatever you call it, that's the output which we generate. Because if you see whom I am competing with, I'm not competing with institutional banks because banks are not giving loan to the farmer. I am competing with a money lender with whom the farmer gets the money by sitting across the table. So that's a turnaround time we are looking at. So to beat that, our tech is enabled that a farmer unloads the stock. I sign all the contracts with him digitized in their vernacular languages. All the loan documents are signed digitally. There is no single piece of paper. So even on the ESG thing, we are working very well to ensure end-to-end compliances. Our system speaks to the central bureau of the country where I get the credit history also automated, no manual interventions. And by the time farmer leaves the warehouse, based on the quality which is unloaded, the entire balance is shown on his app as a digital balance. He just have to click yes, and the money gets debited our account and credited to his. So that's how fast we have done on the storage and the finance, which has helped him to solve the problem of when. Now, second is whom to sell. As Emmanuel mentioned, that these farmers take money from the money lender and they are forced to sell it back to them, and then they exploit them. Now, through our platform, which is Arya Tech platform, the third service layer or the third entity, we are providing the farmer an access to sell it to multiple buyers. So there is a platform which connects to multiple buyers who can come and bid on the stocks. And the beauty of the system is if the farmer has availed a loan, he doesn't need to repay. The loan gets repaid from the sale proceeds directly. And the remaining is given back to the farmer. The collection of money from the buyer is our responsibility. So we underwrite because at times the farmer may need to sell it at a credit to get better price in the off season. So this entire journey helped us to solve two basic problems: when to sell and whom to sell. And we have done a study through a third party entity. One of our investors got it done. The net income gain for the farmers was in a bracket of 15 to 20% after excluding all the cost.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Chandra. Nicolette, AI is powerful. The previous speakers have shared how they've mitigated so much of the problems that farmers deal with. So I'm curious, blockchain, how does it create confidence for lenders, buyers, farmers who may never meet each other?
Yeah, well, that is, of course, one of the main use cases of blockchain, or the main benefit of blockchain. I won't go into detail here, that's really boring, but you can actually use it to make sure that you don't have to know someone else on the other side of the transaction. And I'm, as a lawyer, I make myself redundant by using blockchain. So you don't need all these lawyers, banks, notaries, and all the others that you normally would use for getting the transaction done with people you don't know. You can cut all those costs out. And I always give the example of the, in my opinion, best use case of blockchain, apart, of course, from Bitcoin, to come back to your cryptocurrencies. But the best example I always tell everyone is the one that the World Food Program used in Syria in a refugee camp, where they actually gave the refugees the opportunity to scan their iris in stores in order to get to a budget that especially was designated for them, to get clothes and all the other stuff that they need, food and all these things. Those costs were directly credited on the account of the World Food Program, and that saved them 98% of the cost. This was already what was said before. But that is, in my opinion, a very important thing, because you now don't have to know all these stores. You don't have to know all these refugees. They can be everywhere. They can be on the go. And that applies to entrepreneurs and to farmers and to everyone, where you do want to have access to all these valuable inputs, but you don't want to be in any way controlled by the big multinational seed companies, for instance, or by any government. That is how blockchain can play a role. But to be very clear, as I said before, it is just a tool. And what it did for me and the people I work with is that it gave us the opportunity to look at the existing systems that are mostly more than 100 years old, the macro systems, both in the global north and in the global south. And then you can look at how we can change those systems. And for that, it is very good that we now have technology like blockchain, like AI, that actually sets everything in a different view, in a different perspective, and everyone has the same opportunity to learn. Even you don't need too much to get into this whole space, if you only are very eager to learn. And most people I work with, like myself, are people who work themselves up, who didn't get everything on a silver platter, and they understand how to do it yourself with the right tools, and how to then create opportunities for others where everyone has equal access. So for me, it's not about creating new markets. It is, of course, a very useful byproduct that you can create all new markets. You can do that on a bottom-up way. You can create market pools from the farmers. You can have the farmers ask for certain things that they need. And all of that is done by getting them access to the right systems. And that can be done just by using a simple phone. Doesn't even have to be a smartphone, just a simple phone connected to AI, for instance. And then you all of a sudden, like the rest of the world, have access to all the knowledge that we collectively established in the database. And we're talking about not even a decade where this has come up, and where you now can use it. And the youth, we primarily work with youth, they are used to working with that. And it doesn't matter whether you're a young person from the global south or the north, it's the same. You have the same tool, you can use the same things. Of course, the circumstances are different, but you now have more opportunities to change your own circumstances.
Thank you so much for that, Nicolette. Elena, just I'm throwing you one. Can you just confirm your audio?
Yes, I can hear you and I can speak. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yes, we can hear you. So, Elena, where do you see AI having the biggest impact on credit, insurance, and payments for smallholder farmers? We're just on the finance aspect of the panel.
Well, finance aspects of panel, I really enjoyed what Nicolette said, and previously Dr. Zhao and Anand about blockchain and payments infrastructure. I've been working with blockchain for many years, and in the recent years, last 3 years, we realized that AI actually can help blockchain. AI can help financial infrastructures. And my company, Empova, we created this suite of different platforms for everyone to use. And we actually building trust tech, what we call trust tech. In reality, that would help all the financial institutions to trace what's agricultural projects are doing and how they are doing it. And that will actually eliminate the problematics for banks that they cannot lend to farmers money. So that would help a lot of institutions to have connections directly with farmers and give them more income. And I listened for the previous panel. I really enjoyed how they talked about new revenue streams. Empova helping to save agricultural farmers actually money for their financing for their projects. And AI can help with a lot of other things on the ground, not only with the finances, but automation of the processes as well. Mark, I cannot hear you. Mark,
I think you need to recheck your network. There's some challenges, some disturbances coming.
Yes.
No,
Mark, we cannot hear you.
Mark, you may have to log out and log in again, or may have to change your Wi-Fi setting because there's a lot of disturbances. We're not able to hear you.
Well, while Mark is changing his settings, I will probably continue what else we can provide for small farmers. In reality, our goal is to engineer abundance through verified impact on the ground. And Empova is empowering people on the ground in different areas and verticals, as well as agriculture. And as one of our solutions for people on the ground, we are providing support for them to switch to green energy and to engineer abundance with the green technologies and get access to the corporate social responsibility funds as well for that. We saw changes on the market that corporate social responsibilities funds have spent last year in 2025 only top 500 companies from US, they spent 20 billions. However, we saw that almost 85% spent on overheads or admin, and only 15% of these funds actually doing impact on the ground, at least in Africa. This data was provided.
I think, Mark, we are able to hear you, but there's a lot of disturbance coming in between. You may speak again. No.
No. Perhaps somebody from the team can help us and bring another moderator on the panel. Because that way
I think
we should be able to talk
if all
properly.
if all of you are okay, we can continue and pick up where the discussions are and probably continue like this, if this makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like we understand the topic very well, and we
Yes.
can ask each other questions.
Absolutely. So I think that's a
Anand, I have a question to you. In which countries you already working?
Alina, we are only in India and happy to be in India as of now. While we have helped Ethiopian government to frame their warehousing standards and evolve the commodity-based finance product. So if you look at us, we were the first guys who started this commodity finance in India. When we were in part of one of the largest private sector bank before we decided to take a plunge as an entrepreneur. So commodity-based finance, if you ask me, is the product which Emmanuel mentioned started was initiated in the country with a concept that farmers don't have balance sheet, farmers don't have a credit history. So how do I lend to them? So
Yes.
the idea behind this product, you all know, is to shift from the credit risk of the customer to a commodity risk. So that's where we started this product. So today, as we speak, we almost hold 5 million tons of cargo in our warehouses across 3,500 warehouses in the country. We disbursed more than $1.2 billion of loan last year to our balance sheet and facilitated trade of almost $4 billion. So that's how we make business.
That sounds fantastic. We're actually also working in Ethiopia, and it would be interesting to talk off the online after the panel, because Ethiopian market really needs new solutions.
So we are quite keen to expand to Africa, but on the tech or the knowledge sharing, we may not be keen right now to invest. So if there's anything on that side where people want to take our tech and our expertise to set the processes and systems, we are happy to partner.
Wonderful. Sabhan, welcome on the call on our panel.
So Shubham, you may have to take the moderator seat now.
Yes. That's the reason I just quickly jumped in, because I just saw that Mark was having some technical error, and yes, so his device got some challenge. We got to know recently because of the scorching summer and heat. So that's the challenge. But nevertheless, we can continue from here. So since Anand, obviously we were having things from you, so I would like to know one main thing from your end is like, what would you suggest for agri-tech entrepreneurs to focus on for building sustainable business model? In short, if you can tell us this particular thing.
I would suggest them not to read books or literature. I would ask them to go to the ground, check where the problem is. And second thing is, don't try to copy what has happened, especially from the Indian and the African context, if you want to do. Because what we do is we get carried away with, or we get influenced with what is happening in the European and the Western part of the world. And we think the solutions are going to work in India and Africa. It is not going to work. So our problem is our problem, which are very unique to each country. What has worked in Europe doesn't give a license that it will work in Africa or India. So leave what is there in the books. Second thing, the third important thing is the research in some of the countries like us has not been up to the mark. So what you would read and try to make a business case on would be a data which would be say 20, 30 years old, redundant. Like for example, if I was attending a conference in Zurich and a lady asked me that, you have 15-20% of food loss, post-harvest losses. So I had to correct her. I said that, madam, you are reading something which was written 20, 30 years ago by somebody. And that time India was producing 40 million tons. But today we are producing 350 million tons. If you count 20% of that, we would have seen grains on the road, which fortunately we don't see now.
Right.
So other than the media reports once in a while. So uh, stay grounded. Agri can only work by being grounded, and agri is so complex as a subject that despite being a agriculture student, MBA in agri, and 22 years here, I still feel there is a lot to learn because that's how complex this subject is. And it forget about it being different across border. It may vary across different province also in a country because of the cultural and the way they operate.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, so I genuinely support the idea of being more practical about it, because the knowledge that, because the things are changing quite rapidly, which they were not the time before in our previous generation. So it is changing every other moment. The moment we read it, it is already old news. It has already been passed away. So for those reasons, I believe the things going practical on ground and experiencing those things is the very right manner to proceed further and learn from those things. Moving ahead, like my final question for Nicolette would be like, obviously, Nicolette, can you just let us know in short that how can AI contribute to the accessibility of digital platforms and give smallholders the information and freedom of choice that they need for their substantions and market entrance?
Yes, of course. Thank you. And thanks for stepping in as our moderator. We are, as I said, we're building a whole new seed system change infrastructure, which is based on like 120-year-old market global. But of course, in order to even do something, because I agree totally with what is said here, you have to experience things. You have to let it be envisioned by the people who are from the certain country that you want to be working in, because they experienced firsthand what is necessary. And in order to have them do that, mostly we work with farmers who are illiterate, and 80% of those are women. And these women are very good at what they're doing, but they are not connected in any way to the global infrastructure. And using AI, we can actually get them to be connected. For instance, building an LLM in the least spoken languages, like we're doing that now in Ghana. We're working on with different universities on an LLM for the Akan language, so that people, even if they're illiterate, can talk to their smartphones or normal phones and actually get access and understand what is on the platform, how they can use it, how they are not be forced to pay back before they even got money themselves by selling the better products. All those things, we believe in the autonomy of people. We believe in that everyone who has autonomy will feel interdependent, will feel responsibility for the environment, which means that if you give people the right tools and the right knowledge, and you can do that by getting them access with AI, people will make the right choices, but only when they feel autonomous and they feel capable of deciding for themselves. So that, I think, is a very good application of AI. And of course, we need to work on it for a long time, because we're not there at all. And most people don't really, there are no AI experts, even the people who put it in the world. And so I think we're all experts there. So we need to train AI like we do that with our children. We need to put it the right consciousness. We need to have people use it in a way where it actually lifts every one of us up, and not like we said already, using the books of 30 years ago, but really use life experience and making sure that it actually comes from people who experienced it and not only from robots.
Okay. So that was like really very insightful. And my next question would be to Elena, that are there any practical ways to reduce waste or stop problems quite early, basically to help farmers so that they can make better decisions about water, fertilizers and crop care, and or any other thing that which are very much essential for the farmers to operate?
Absolutely. And in reality, I totally agree with Nicolette that people can be independent and can make their own decision. But a lot of times they afraid because they think that they don't know something. And that's the reason why Empova decided to create Heroes Academy. We call people on the ground in Africa actually heroes, people who works with us, because they are like heroes. They are feeding the world, and they are changing perspectives of a lot of people. But at the same moment, they change the perspective on the ground, what can be done and how it can be done. And they are learning from each other. And now with Heroes Academy, actually Empova helping these people on the ground, we are helping them with AI. So we created the suite of AI agents that are actually can be advisors for farmers, how to use fertilizers, what kind of fertilizers they need for their particular land. They can take pictures, they can communicate with advisor. And the beauty of actually agentic AI is completely different from ChatGPT. ChatGPT cannot talk to you back properly and know the topic for a long time. Our system that we created with Heroes Academy, we train actually people on the ground how to do business better, and we help them to do marketing. Like a lot of farmers don't know how to promote their products, so we can help them with the training from AI for their particular topic. For example, we have one of the projects called Suho Space. And this project, one of the ladies, she saw that women in Nigeria actually likes to go and to talk with each other in a little coffee shop. And that lady created opportunity for women in the coffee shop to learn how to sew garments, because Nigerian women like fashion. So she created business, and now she is learning how to use AI and how to support herself with the help of AI advisors. That's one of the examples. It's not farmer. We don't have a farmer example yet, but we are open for farmers to come and learn from our AIs as well.
Thanks a lot, Elena, for being so insightful about the farmers and giving the knowledge that how they can make better decisions about the most essential things which are required to have the cultivation done in a very effective manner. Thanks a lot to obviously Mark. He is not currently with us, but yes, thanks a lot, Mark, as well, who was with us moderating the panel perfectly, and thanks a lot, Emmanuel, as well, for being the part of the panel and giving so insights about it. Thanks a lot, Anand, with your philosophy, which is very much effective as well in these current scenarios, how quickly the things are changing right now. Thanks a lot, Nicolette, for being on the panel, and Elena as well. Your participation has really enlightened the audience in terms of the various aspects which are required in digital platforms and connecting it to the traditional farmers' objectives and these things. So thanks a lot, everyone. Now we'll move ahead with the other panel discussion, and thanks a lot for being here. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, everyone. Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.